In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your belt tensioner on your Honda CR-V. It's located under your power steering pump. All right, so you're going to use either a belt tool. If you have a very long one, that'll be helpful. It's a 14 millimeter. If you don't have that, then you're going to remove your reservoir, which is pretty easy to do. You're just going to need a flathead screwdriver to push this back and then pull this out. You don't have to disconnect any hoses. You're just going to put it over here and put it off to the side so that you can get a better swing on the tensioner bolt. Next, you're going to use an offset closed wrench, 14 millimeter. And place it on the bolt, and you're going to pull it down. All right, and then you're going to pull towards you to relieve the tension and slip the belt off. Okay, once you get the belt off, you can release it. And remove your tool. And now we can take our belt off. Now you can set aside your reservoir closer to the front of the car. All right, using a 12 millimeter long socket, I'm going to take out this bolt. We are not going to take off any of the lines off the power steering pump. It's not necessary. Set your bolt aside. And now we're going to go for the bolt underneath. So I'm going to move my reservoir over and set it off to the side towards the back. Using a 12 millimeter socket, long socket, we're going to take this bolt out. You can wiggle the pump a little bit to get the rest of the bolt out of the way. Or should I say, to get the rest of the bolt out. Okay. Set that bolt to the side. Now your power steering pump is free to move about. So we're going to set that off to the side as well. Make sure it's not kinking the lines or anything. You just want it out of the way enough to get to your tensioner. All right, to keep my pump out of the way, I'm going to use a bungee cord and just pull it away. You can do the same, makes it easier. All right, using a 12 millimeter socket on a 1/4 inch ratchet, because that's about all that fits in there. You're going to be under your motor mount, next to your tensioner, and there's one bolt there. So that's hard to get to, or hard to see, should I say. All right, I'm going to leave that other bolt in there. It feels like it's almost out. And let's go for this one. It's a 12 millimeter socket, long socket, probably your best bet. Once you crack it loose, you can take it out the rest of the way by hand. I'll set that off to the side. All right, so let's take this bolt out. I'm going to use a magnet so I don't drop it. And set it aside. All right, now that you've gotten those bolts out, let's go for the center one. This is a 12mm socket. All right, so now we're just going to use a socket and take it out for the remainder of the way. And we can remove our tensioner. All right, for install, I recommend putting your bolt in here first, and also your center bolt. So when you get in there, it's at least where it belongs, because it's very hard to get this bolt in without doing this first. So just keep your fingers on the bolt heads as you slide it in. Move that reservoir out of your way. All right, and then when you're lined up, you can get your center bolt started. That's going to help you get all the other bolts in line where they belong. Next, you're going to go for this one and get that one started. And that's going to help you line up your bolt on the other side. All right, next, you're going to go for the bolt down in the far corner under the motor mount. This is the tough one to get to. I'm going to go to my center bolt. And I'll go to this other bolt. I just switched out my ratchet for a 3/8 size, make it easier for me. Back again with my 1/4 inch drive. So we are not going to be able to get a torque wrench in here. So we're just going to snug this bolt up in the back as much as possible with a 1/4 inch ratchet. Should be good. And now we'll torque the other two. So we're going to torque our center bolt to 16 foot-pounds. And we're going to torque this bolt to 16 foot-pounds. And if you can get a torque wrench in there, it's also 16 foot-pounds. If you can't, just do the best you can. Snug it up really good. All right, now we can put our power steering pump back. I'm going to unbungee it. And guide it back to where it belongs, lining up my bolt holes. That looks good. We have one bolt here. And we have one underneath. I would start them by hand, both of them, before you tighten anything. All right, once you have hand tightened those, you're gonna tighten them up with a 12mm socket and torque them to 16 foot-pounds. Okay, once you snug it up, you can grab your torque wrench. All right, so to start putting the belt in, we're going to slide it towards the front, in front of the motor mount, and feed it down towards the crank pulley. There isn't a whole lot of room, so use your patience. So in order to get the serpentine belt back on, it's much easier to take your wheel off and take the plastic cover off underneath, which is just 2 plastic push pins, in order to get the serpentine belt on the crank pulley. You can try doing it without doing that, but I'm not. I'm going to do it that way. It's much easier. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to remove our lug nuts and remove our wheel. Make sure you have a hand on the wheel for that last one. Sometimes the wheel wants to jump off. All right, so I've already fed my belt through and down as far as I can. I've already taken my wheel off, and now we're going to take our plastic push pins out for this plastic cover. And we're just going to pull this down and reach up and grab the belt. So what you want to do is get this belt on the crank and on the AC compressor. Make sure it's all the way on and all the way on the compressor. You want to make sure that the belt is halfway between that water pump pulley, because you're going to pull it down and put it under it. But we can't do that until we have a belt tool attached on top. All right, to install this belt, you are going to need a special tool, a belt tool, in order to get enough leverage. So taking it off is one thing, using a different type of tool, but to put it on, you're definitely going to need a tool. All right, so now we have a reservoir out of the way by pulling it out from the bracket, and we have our tool set up. We also have the belt on top of the power steering pulley, and we're making sure that it is lined up where it needs to go through those pulleys. So your belt is on your tensioner already. We're going to pull back with our tool, and as we're pulling back all the way, we're going to go reach with our left hand and pull down on the belt and slide it onto that water pump pulley. If you can't do that on your own, you can have a friend pull back on this tool while you go underneath and slide it on the pulley. All right, so now we're going to pull back all the way on our tensioner as far as it goes. And you're going to reach down, or someone can hold that for you. And you're going to make sure your belt's on your crank properly, your AC compressor properly, and you're going to pull down on the belt that's in between the water pump pulley and slide it onto that pulley by sliding it underneath it. Before letting go, make sure that the serpentine belt is properly aligned with the crank pulley and the AC compressor before letting go of the belt tool. All right, so now that you have put that on the water pump pulley, you're checking your pulleys on the top. Make sure it's lined up where it belongs. Looking good. So now we can take off our tool. Depending on the tool you're using, it could be a little tough, but if you pry away at it, it should come out. It's extremely tight. All right, so now we can install our reservoir again. So put it in the bracket and press down. If your tab on your bracket is bent, bend it back to hold it in there. There you go. All right, so now that we have our serpentine belt on, just do one last check on these pulleys, make sure the belt is aligned properly, and then we can put our plastic cup back on. All right, so now you can put your wheel back on. Reinstall your wheel. And then put your lug nuts on finger tight. And we're gonna snug it up. Go in a star-like pattern, like this. We're going to torque our wheels to 80 foot-pounds. You're going to do it in a star-like pattern. And I like to go around one more time to make sure I got them all.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.